This video focuses on, I think, a court case that you don't need a whole lot of information on because it's just one of those cases that everybody knows, and that's the infamous case of Roe v. Wade, 1973, that dealt with the topic of abortion. Case centered around the woman on the screen whose name is Norma McCorvey. She was known as Jane Roe in court documents to sort of protect her identity. This involved her becoming pregnant, wanting an abortion, but because she lived in Texas and that was forbidden, she was essentially denied from having an abortion. She ended up having her child, but the case nonetheless challenged whether or not Texas could indeed continue to prevent other women from having abortions like they did to her. So again, the question is, was the Texas law preventing abortions unconstitutional? So this one's a little bit different because there's not a particular amendment that relates to the idea of abortions. The other amendments in cases we looked at, it's a pretty direct match. But this involves what we refer to as a penumbra of the amendments, meaning it's several amendments. It's like there's nothing like exactly in the Constitution, but like a penumbra, like as we talked about in class, sort of deals with like a shadowy region of an eclipse. So it's like it's not clear, it's a little bit shadowy, but essentially like there are several amendments that deal with the concept of privacy. The First Amendment deals with like your privacy over your own religious and political views. Third Amendment and Fourth Amendment deal like the privacy of like your own stuff. Like you can't have soldiers be forced into your home with the Third Amendment, and unlawful searches and seizures with the Fourth Amendment. 14th Amendment deals with like due process, and all these things added together kind of give off the vibe that there are parts of the Constitution that deal with like privacy. Though the word privacy is not listed in the Constitution, and though the word abortion is not listed in the Constitution, the argument involves privacy rights, which are centered in this whole abortion debate. So again, the question is, was the Texas law preventing abortions unconstitutional? And it's a 7-2 decision in favor of Roe. And essentially answering that question, like, yes, the Texas law is unconstitutional. That women have a right to an abortion because of this unstated right to privacy that you can sort of like see in the Constitution. And that a matter of what a woman chooses to do with her body is a matter of privacy. So again, the significance of this Supreme Court decision is that it legalized abortion across the country. And obviously, this is an issue that still divides political parties and American citizens today. It's also important to note that the verdict did, or the decision did, keep the door open and allow the government to regulate the process. So again, this decision did establish a woman's right to have an abortion, but did also allow the government to continue to regulate the process. So basically the way this sort of works now is that there are 3 trimesters in a woman's pregnancy, each trimester representing 3 months of a typical 9-month like pregnancy. Within the first 3 months, the government really doesn't have much ability to like regulate the process. As you go into the second trimester, the government has the ability to establish greater rules and regulations over the abortion process. And then in the third trimester, the last 3 months of a pregnancy, essentially the government has significant ability to regulate and even prevent abortions from taking place that late in a woman's like pregnancy. Basically, because the government retains this ability to sort of regulate the process, there's been many challenges, right, to how far state governments can go to regulate the process. And what the court has to decide are the regulations put in place by the state government, necessary regulations, or are they intentionally put in place to put like an unfair burden on a woman's ability to legally have an abortion? And that's oftentimes where the Supreme Court finds itself in. But the important thing for you, obviously, to know is that it establishes a right for a woman to have an abortion. It's centered around this right to privacy that's sort of unstated, but kind of get the vibe of from several different amendments. And the government does still sort of maintain the ability to regulate aspects of this process.